Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Black Eel Podcast. Well, this is going to be, Mike and I just discussed before I hit record. This is actually going to be a very short episode in the sense of compared to what we've had in the past. But that being said, we've also had the shortest amount of time between episodes. So let's get right into this. We're going to be talking about Harley Quinn Season 3. We're then going to be talking about my character spotlight and then going over what we're going to be discussing next week, which is just Harley Quinn again? Question mark.
Should be just Harley Quinn. I mean,
I
we
have
don't
a feeling
have.
we're probably gonna have trailers or something, potentially, but right now it's just gonna
Um,
be Harley Quinn.
there's the only maybe the only trailer is going to be another trailer for Craven.
Yeah, I think what
Actually, I don't know. I completely changed the topic because I never asked you about it. But when I went to go see Venom in the theater, there was a new Craven trailer. I don't know if there was a new Craven trailer for you. Uh,
I don't know if it was new or not. I guess we got to. I don't remember if we got to see the full transformation of the Rhino in other trailers, and because I think
no, it was hinted at, and in this trailer, finally we
very
like
clearly.
saw it. Yeah.
No, so I think so. Yes, I did see it. I don't think I registered it was brand new.
Yeah, no, they like we got new snippet things. Like we got a little bit more of like what was involved with their animal transforming into like animalistic stuff. Like we in the previous trailers, we knew that he got bitten by a lion, which is why he got lion powers. I guess we'll go with that. And
But
we
it
found
actually
out that it
was.
was we found out in this it was like because they were experimenting on the animals and he got infected and whatever. And it's like okay,
Yeah.
not at all what Craven is.
No, but made more sense of how we got him. You know.
Yeah, no. It made sense for like what they're doing in this universe, but I mean, in like actuality, it's like
I agree
not.
with you, but I do like the fact that they are making him a mercy killer more.
Yeah,
So he's which is more realistic to Craven in the comics, except for one story of him where he decided to hunt down every animal. Um, you know.
yeah. I mean,
Oh no,
like
no. When I
the
say
bit.
when I say every animal, I mean like Black Cat, Spider Man, Spider Woman.
I mean, the thing with Craven, which they're not really. I mean, so far from the trailers is, and again, you know more than in the comics than I do for this character is like Craven goes as his motto. Like, it's like he goes for the hunt because he wants the trophy killing. He wants the award for being like the best hunter, the best animal. In the animal kingdom, he wants to be the top animal. And
So he's not gonna just randomly kill anybody.
no, no. He's not going to just go to the street and be like, "Oh, I want to be better than you, so I'm just going to kill you." It's like he goes after Spider-Man because he looks like he's going to be something that's worth the hunt. It's not like he's just going after someone because it's like, "Oh, I want to prey."
Yeah, I think it's partially that, and it's partially for the fact that he's like thwarted his plans. So therefore, it's more of like so. At first, no, but then it turns into that because it's like, oh, this guy thinks he's better than me. I'm
Hmm.
Raven the Hunter. I'm the king of the food chain.
Yeah, and like even like you haven't finished Spider-Man 2 yet. Like in the game, it was like he was going after people because it was like he was looking for someone to be able to beat him.
Yeah,
So like he was hunting down Venom because he wanted a challenge. He didn't think anybody was up like level with his threat.
correct.
So
That sounds very comic book accurate.
yeah. So I mean, in obviously in the movie from the trailers, that does not look like what's going on
I don't know. I'm
whatsoever.
very curious to see how they're going to portray it because right now it just sounds. I'm a little disappointed because it seems like he's only going after those people because they work for his dad.
Yeah, they did him wrong, so he's going for revenge.
Yeah, which I kind of have a problem with, but we'll see. Who
I
knows?
mean,
Maybe
yeah, it's
we've only seen snippets. I mean, at the very least, it's going to be a good action movie, and
yeah,
at the very least, I'm okay with that.
yeah. I mean, like we kind of said, like with some of these other movies, it's like a very classic, like with Madam Web, it's like a classic early 2000s superhero movie where they completely throw away like the character and just like use the character to like hype
This
people up and then make their own movie into it. You
this is
know?
basically the Fox universe.
Yeah, yeah. It's like
Like,
the brand new Fox universe. It's Sony.
Yeah, which is just so funny to think about. But yeah, I also have to agree too. Like even like the CGI kind of gives me like that '90s vibe
Oh yeah, it
or
was
early
late '90s,
2000s.
early 2000s. Yeah,
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 and I'm kind of just like, why? I
yeah.
don't know. And it's just me. I mean, like technology's gone so far. Like even the Hulks look realistic. You know what I'm saying? Like I hate
Yeah.
saying it, but like Hulk
The
looks
the
realistic.
one that looked the worst was She-Hulk, and that was like
Which
that
still
still wasn't that bad.
no. I mean, don't get me wrong. Bad
Some
comparative to the time, but
yeah
like when you look at some of the other stuff, it's like, wow, this is really going to this point.
yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about our friend Harley Quinn season 3. So don't I think I watched maybe 2 episodes of this originally.
I made it up to episode. I stopped at episode 7. So the last thing I saw before I stopped was
You
was
made it
the
further
Joker
than me.
episode.
Yeah, so I didn't even make it to the Joker episode when I first watched this. Um I'll say this. I think it was a good season, but it wasn't as good as the first two.
Oh no, that wasn't it. Like
There's
this
some
is why
things
like
missed.
I so like the first like so Steph and I just stopped watching it because Steph just like wasn't interested in it.
Which
And
fair I get.
yeah,
But
like
like imagine being like that.
after they got together, it was like, oh, this isn't as good as anymore because like they were just the Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn while together were just kind of like annoying. And what's funny is like after I got to the Joker episode, we both were like, "Oh, this episode was actually really good," and they weren't in the episode, so it was like, and I was like, "Oh, let's keep watching," but she was just done with it. So because I never I because she wasn't watching it with me, I just lost interest in it.
Mhm.
And then like so now that you were having me rewatch it, I was I was obviously willing to give it a second chance, and the same thought process for me was I was so not interested in it up until the Joker episode, and then going past the Joker episode, it did get a little bit better.
But again,
Um,
in my opinion, it was because there was more Joker, and
there was more other characters than the two of them.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
I have to agree with you on that.
and even the point like the episodes where they were together, like obviously, so Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy were kind of butting heads with their thought processes, what they wanted from each other. So they even like the last 2 episodes, they were fighting each other. So it wasn't like they were a happy couple and just trying to do happy couple things. So uh it wasn't what was going on in the first half of the season. And then I mean, honestly, for me, I felt like episode 11 was just totally unnecessary. Like I was just so not
Well,
into it.
episode 11 wasn't a part of the season.
No, no, no. It was just like not. It was a special,
It was a
and it
special that
wasn't.
aired like a year later. I didn't
Oh,
watch
that I
it.
didn't know. Oh, you didn't?
No, I just watched the 10 episodes because I knew
Oh,
that wasn't part of the season.
okay.
It was like their Valentine's Day special that I
Yeah.
think was supposed to get you hyped up for season 4.
Oh, well, it's a good thing you didn't watch it because I mean, for me, it was just like after episode 10, I was, it was just them,
Yeah, because it wasn't a continuation. It was like
That's
it was
why it just felt so random because it said season.
what
I didn't realize that it wasn't a part of the season. So that's the only reason I watched it because I was like, why the hell is this in this episode
that
after
is
this ended?
that is hilarious. So I find that to be hilarious because immediately I was like, "There's supposed to only be 10 episodes. Why does it say 11?" And so I looked it up, and it was there. It was like supposed to be a promotional episode to get you to realize, like, "Oh, we're like Harley Quinn isn't gone away. Like, please, DC fans, watch us. It's great." And that was the whole point of that episode was to get you hyped up for season 4. And
Well, I'm sitting here watching like this is stupid.
as we can tell, it worked wonders on Mike because he's super excited for season
Yeah,
4.
so excited. Like
Uh,
after watching the Gotham get destroyed by a plant apocalypse, I'm all of a sudden they're in love with Valentine's Day talking about watching Bane hump skyscrapers. So, and I know you don't know what I'm talking about, which makes it even better. So,
no, and
I'm gonna tell you right now, Bane turned into a kaiju, and it had such lust for some male actor reading a sex story that he was going on a humping spree, humping literal skyscrapers to the point when he ejaculated, the building collapsed. And it wasn't just one building; it was the city.
I'm so glad I didn't watch it.
I want you to watch it just so that way you know you have this image in your head now.
I do, because I have an image in my head. I don't need this to drawn out. So yeah, so season.
And he got this potion, by the way, from Etrigan. So
Oh, so speaking of which, there were a lot of um Easter eggs in this from like Kite Man, which
yep. I didn't so obviously I had seen, like I said, I had seen up to episode 6. So I had seen Golden Glider.
but obviously I can understand why you don't remember,
Yep.
because as soon as I saw her, I was like, "Is that Golden Glider?" But I'm like, maybe not. And then she did her thing, and I was like, "Oh, it is."
Yep. No, I completely forgot.
Um, I mean, so like I'll say this: there was definitely like a lot of like, I don't want. They weren't digs. They were like legitimately like stuff that showed up in Kite Man, because like we saw Villigans a little bit in the background.
yeah, very slightly. I mean, obviously too, don't forget too, we have another whole other season.
No, also true. But what I was gonna say too is the fact of like, we wouldn't have known what Villigans was if we didn't watch Kite Man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we wouldn't have known who Golden Glider was truly without Kite Man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, technically, I mean, obviously, we got the glimpse of who she was, and we got an expansion in Kite Man,
Oh,
to
for
our
sure.
knowledge. In season 4, for all we know, we could have gotten even more.
Yeah,
So we're gonna find out next
it
week.
could be a huge explanation as to why they did Kite Man Hell Yeah at the time that they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I'll definitely say this. So like, this season was weird. It was a weird start off. It was the first episode was basically their honeymoon, which
Yep.
wasn't a honeymoon because they weren't married. Um,
Yeah. their
I know,
honeymoon phase.
I know, and that's where it gets weird. They stole the Queen of England, which obviously doesn't age well, um, just because she's dead. I say what I say. I just like the fact of them like breaking into the Fortress of Solitude, stealing Wonder Woman's invisible jet, and just going around, and then finally, um, was this the episode where they get into Catwoman's place, or was there a gap in between?
I think no, it was this episode.
It was the first episode. I couldn't remember if it was like the first episode or the second episode, but it doesn't
No,
matter.
because it was the first episode because they were going around causing mischief and they didn't have a place to stay because Superman kicked him out of the Fortress of Solitude. So she called Catwoman and they're like, "Hey, can we stay here?"
Technically, Superman's father kicked them out for watching a porno.
Well, and then the hologram of Superman showed up and be like, "Hey, what are you doing in my fortress?" And blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah.
And then the next step was that.
But they didn't. They also did not steal the Wonder Woman's invisible plane in the Fortress of Solitude. They already had it.
Oh, that's right.
And that because they made the comment, it's like, oh, why do they make this invisible? I always forget where I parked this thing, and then they fire a missile and they find it, and
That's true.
comedy.
No, absolutely. I forgot about that. Um, so then we also find out that Commissioner Gordon is going up against the mayor, basically the former mayor
He is
of
the mayor.
Gotham. Well, he is at the time, but he isn't for long.
Yeah,
And Gordon is getting his butt kicked horribly
by everybody. Everybody prefers the people of Gotham prefer everybody over him. So even his own police department prefer everybody over him.
Absolutely, most due to the fact that he spent way too much of the tax budget money on tanks and everything else that were useless. And he was like, "Come on, you guys realize that it was the mayor that decided our budget, and I had to use it because it was a budget."
Yeah, he's like everyone's yelling like, "Oh, why you spent all this money on this stupid shit and whatever and whatever," and the mayor's like, "Yeah, why were you recklessly spending all our money?" And he's just like, "You approved it. You could have told me no at any moment."
Didn't. Um,
But also throughout the entire season, the occurrence for the entire season, Bane wants revenge on Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn because because he gifted Poison Ivy a pasta maker for her wedding last season, and because they didn't get married, he wants it back.
Yes.
So the entire season, he's plotting his revenge, and it never works out.
So when he first said it, I was like, "What the hell is with the pasta thing?" And then I remembered it clicked in my head. And I was like, "I remember now." Because at first he was only asking Harley.
Yeah, so, I mean, kind of. Well, he showed up randomly at the mall.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. But he talked to Harley, not Ivy, which is what threw me off at first.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, pasta maker. What did you steal it in the Legion of Doom? Like, is this supposed to be like? Did I miss something? And then I realized after it was from the wedding because then he made a comment about is it weird to ask for a gift? He basically explained why.
Mm-hmm. And
And
then Poison Ivy was like, "It's rude to ask for the gift back. Like, come on." and
basically,
everyone is like, "Oh, we lost it," while they're eating the bowl of pasta.
yeah. Um. So then the next part was them breaking Clayface and King Shark out of prison.
That was at the beginning. That was for episode 1.
Oh, really? No, I
Yeah,
thought.
no, because they were still on their honeymoon. The only reason is they were at Eden.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right. They were at Eden, where Ivy was like trying to basically resurrect the Green on Earth. Bring back all the prehistoric plants of the world and take it over from the human race. And Harley Quinn, let's just say, she was going along with the plan, but hated it. Not because she hated the idea at first; it was because she was bored out of her mind.
yeah. She was so bored. She had no internet. She had nothing. So nothing to kill.
Initially, it was because of her being bored. The
Yeah.
reason why I say that is because she has other reasons why to hate it later down the
No.
road.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so breaking Clayface and King Shark out of prison was kind of funny. Um, I don't know why I thought it was funny, but it just was to me. And the fact that they used the two porn stars that play them
Yeah.
to confuse GCPD was hilarious. And then they get them out of there.
And then everyone wants their autograph. It's like.
It just made me laugh. And then episode 2 was. Hold on,
I mean, at this point, honestly, going through the episodes is just not going to do much. We're going to get so everything all combobulated. It's like just.
No, I know, but I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. So, this also was heavily talked about the Bat family too.
Yep, because
Um,
Nightwing shows up, and
oh,
he's.
I remember episode 2 now. Episode 2, and it's funny because I literally legitimately just talked about it. This is heavily hinted about the Bat family. So this is when Nightwing joins the team, and he's trying to bring himself back in after apparently his awfulness of what happened at wherever he was. I forget where he actually.
Bloodhaven.
Bloodhaven, thank you. And so this episode was the escape room.
Oh
Which
yeah, the team building. The
which
team
was
building for
used to
both
build
for
up
both groups.
for both groups, which was hilarious because it was both Harley Quinn's idea and Batgirl's idea,
Yep.
and they had to work together to escape, which was hilarious. And especially because we have the macaroon, who is Alfred's secret identity.
Yeah. I forgot about that. I'll be like, I completely forgot about that.
Well, all of a sudden, you know what killed me? It's when she goes, "Oh, you want to ride?" Somebody was like, "Oh, you got to take a ride with Macaroon." And he goes, "Who?" And then I see Alfred in the powdered wig, and I realized, oh, that's who the Macaroon is. Because at first I forgot who he was again. Um,
Completely forgot about that.
and so the episode was basically Riddler apparently owns a company that does escape rooms for team building, and I'm not gonna lie, like all things considered, it did what it was supposed to do. It actually it got them to deal with their issues because
hmm
it was Ivy and Nightwing working together because they both are doubting themselves. We
Yep.
had Harley Quinn and Batgirl together because they're basically the same. And then we had the two idiots on the other side with the other two idiots, which was Batman and Robin with Clayface and King Shark.
Yeah. Yep.
And my personal favorite was we're gonna starve in here to death, or we're gonna die in here. And King Shark just looks at Robin. I can make it quick for you.
Yeah.
I'll just eat you right now. Which is hilarious because he tried to eat them in season 1. But anyway,
Yeah, they had history.
they have a history. So they escape and they basically build a bond, and apparently that's when Poison, I'm not Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn and Batgirl exchanged phone numbers, which is important for later on.
Yeah, no, I just didn't remember if it was in this episode or if it was just when they were in college together. But I
Well,
mean,
so
not really a big deal.
I'm under the impression that it was this one more, but I could be wrong. I don't know. You might be right. I took it as it was like heavily hinted that this was the thing.
Hmm.
So anyway, we then have the 83rd annual Villy Awards, which is where Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy are being nominated for Best Villain Couple of the Year.
And which
And
is also where we got introduced to Golden Glider.
yes, but we also got introduced to Riddler being a homosexual.
Yep, and
Then Clock
he
King,
is dating Clock King. We
which is
got
hilarious,
Bane, who was only invited because he was supposed to be a seat filler.
which
Um,
is even funnier.
yeah, typical. Joker is the host.
Which threw
Um,
me off. Which threw me off because I thought he was done with being a villain, obviously. So him hosting threw me off a little bit. But I
which
did
is
like it.
which is interesting because he is done being a villain. He's just not out of the spotlight. Like
I guess you're right. I guess you're right.
he's more focused on being a father and a family man, and he's because he's not really doing any villainry.
He's not nominated. He's hosting. So I
Yeah,
guess that is a huge difference. He is a very much known villain, obviously.
an
But this
honorary guest.
yes, and his opening scene was killing. Um, oh my gosh, Jason Todd.
Oh yeah. With the dance opener, and then they were showing like a memorial to those who had died in the previous two seasons.
Yes, and then there was one that was unclear of their whereabouts. I forgot who it was.
Yeah, I don't remember. I
Let me
know it
go
was
back.
Scarecrow, it was Penguin. There was like three
Mr.
other
Freeze
people, and I
too,
don't remember.
because
Oh yeah,
Mr.
Mister
Freeze was.
Freeze.
And
Um,
also Queen of Fables, who's been decapitated.
decapitated. Yep. Which
Um,
doesn't say that she was dead. Which obviously we
no,
know that she's not.
correct, correct. But anyway, so the whole point of this one was they figured out that Harley just wanted this because she thought it would determine the fact that she's not with the Joker anymore, and Poison Ivy didn't want to do this because she doesn't like the limelight. And then they both realized as a couple, like, oh, we're different, but we should still support each other. And that was basically the whole point of this episode.
And
To
they
be
ended up
real,
winning anyways. And
to be
Joker ended up
really
getting the reward.
well, he kept it, of course.
Yep.
And then we see Riddler try to kiss Clock King, which was
And
also
it just was it didn't couldn't work out. They couldn't figure out how to do it.
right. We also then so then let's move on to the next episode, which is Frank goes missing because
Yep.
during this point, Poison Ivy is trying to create a formula that um, basically allows her to, well, recreate the green. I guess the best way to phrase it. And she's failed multiple times at this point, but something happens with Frank that it works out. And
And not yet.
no, it does. No, what I mean is it works out in the sense of like she hasn't figured out exactly what it does yet, but she's gotten to the point where it does it Frank changed for the positive to help resurrect plants, but he can only do it in a small scale, so she wants to increase it. But
Oh
while
yeah.
that's going on, we also have Batman get dumped by um oh well, no, not yet.
They go through music therapy.
They go through music therapy, but during that time Bruce Wayne steals Frank.
Yep.
And that's when Harley and Ivy try to figure out the Court of Owls. Well, they find a thing from the Court of Owls, which then makes them go find Joker, who then is trying to be a dad with homework, which is so funny.
Temper tantrums.
What do you mean you want us to draw a picture of how we got the answer? I'm telling you how we got the answer. This is bullshit. I'm sorry. Well, you know what? I'll buy you another computer. We're gonna get ice cream after this. Daddy, Joker's got to talk to these nice women who showed up unannounced.
Like I was saying, like the best part of at least the first half of the season was when other characters were more involved. So
I have to 100% agree with you. Like Joker was not the funniest character in the first 2 seasons, but he made this season, in my personal opinion.
Oh yeah, no, he was a big part of it, especially like I said, especially with Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn being together because they were just being a bickering couple. They weren't
Yeah,
really doing
they were basically
anything.
they were basically a new couple. Like they were basically like second season they were hooking up. Third season they're a couple and they're realizing that they're different and how's that gonna work.
Mhm.
And so they're trying to find Frank, and their only clue is the Court of Owls. So they go to the Court of Owls, which is apparently just an orgy.
A massive orgy of rich people.
And then before we get into too much of the orgy, we also have to discuss the fact that apparently Bruce Wayne has a mole on his butt.
Because that's the important part.
That is the important part. But no, the other piece too is Two-Face is um oh my gosh,
Two Face is the campaign
Gordon
manager for Gordon.
Jim Gordon, and it is so funny.
He
It is so funny him trying to get money from people, and he only gets money from Bruce Wayne supposedly. So he would
didn't get it
no he
according to.
Two-Face he did not get it, but he Bruce Wayne basically is like, I will give you money if you leave me alone. Oh, that's perfect.
Yep, and then he doesn't end up getting the money, but Gordon apparently gets a bunch of pictures, and Two Face is like, "This
He
is
gets a
perfect."
video. So he gets a video of the orgy
Yep,
because
he's like, "This is blackmail. This is perfect. This is exactly what you
Gordon,
want."
the only thing better than money is extortion, and like you did great. And basically they get no information from the orgy. Well, at least
Nope.
Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy did not get any information from it. However, we also got their relationship on rocky water because the whole time Harley Quinn was being told by Poison Ivy that Catwoman didn't want her to do all these things. And then she bumps into Catwoman, and Catwoman's like, "Are you kidding me? Touch all my stuff. That's why I got it, so people would enjoy it."
Mm-hmm.
And so
And
when
and then we basically right there we found out that both of them were lying to each other,
yes,
and that
yes,
caused a little bit and more couple drama because they didn't want to hurt each other's feelings and all this other stuff. So it was
and the episode ends with them having sex in the orgy.
and
Well, no,
the
the
orgy
orgy
ended
left.
because they turned on the lights.
They were going to join the orgy technically in their own weird way. Then they hit the lights, and then they never stopped.
Mm-hmm. Because apparently the one rule in the orgy is never turn on the lights.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean,
Well, the whole orgy
um,
is, you know, anonymous. But anyway, so then the
because
next
the
episode.
masks weren't enough.
No. Well, I mean, was the mask enough for Jim Gordon to not recognize Bruce Wayne, or the fact of to notice Bane?
Yeah.
Hold on, I almost was done carbo loading for the orgy.
I
Oh,
and then it just wilts.
it was so perfect. And then he lights it at the bed. Just like I hate.
But I want to. You also have to remember that Jim couldn't.
See the whole time.
He couldn't see the entire time, and he had to have the flashlight on him with his light. And then when the lights finally turned on, that's when he realized what was going on.
It was when he opens up the door to another room where somebody's getting spanked by a cream pie, and not the way you would think, which is even funnier. Because it's an orgy, you would think what I'm saying is very graphic, and in actuality, it's a legitimate cream pie that you would eat, which is also gross. And I can't.
You know what's funny is I'm gonna be perfectly honest. When I'm watching this episode, none of that clicked in my head. So now that you're saying it out loud, I'm like, oh my god, this is just so great. It didn't even click in my head. I just thought this was something stupid that they were doing. Oh.
He got a cream pie on the backside. I'm glad I could help you out with that one. Honestly, this is the clay face of last week.
Shit! Didn't even register. Did not even. I thought it was just something stupid that was going on because it was
You
supposed
just
to
thought
be
it was a
some
dumb
cheap
fetish.
humor.
You just thought it was a dumb fetish, and apparently it went right over your head.
Went right over my head.
Mia hit me right in the face, and I was laughing hysterically.
Oh,
Oh,
that just made that so much better.
you're welcome. So the episode ends with them kind of like resolving their issues, I guess the best way to phrase it, but also having no idea where Frank is.
Yep.
So the next episode, um, whether it's the end of the last episode or the beginning of this one, Poison Ivy. Oh no, I think it's the beginning of this episode. Poison Ivy tries to get into the green, and she really can't do so. She's getting very quick glimpses of like Frank
Yep. Frank is getting is
is on like
on a
what looks
lab
like a
table being
yeah,
held down.
and he's complaining
Uh,
about a needle.
yep. He doesn't like
Where'd
needles.
you get that needle? That's bigger than anything I've ever seen. Get it out of my face. Yeah,
Stop it.
basically. And so that's going on, and so she's trying to freak out and everything else, and then she realizes she should talk to Swamp Thing. Um, but before they do that, Harley's like, "By the way, you remember that thing we were gonna do with Nora today, Nora Frost?" And she's like, "No, either did I, but apparently we do, and she's here now."
Yeah, and Ivy's like, you need to cancel that because we're just not in the right place. And then,
I
it's like, ding dong, really.
yeah, I kind of didn't remember. So anyway, we
so,
get to,
so they go on a trip to New Orleans because that's where Swamp Thing lives.
oh, we also there's one thing I want to talk about before we go to Swamp Thing, before we go to New Orleans. Nora Frost is completely party child right now,
Oh yeah, she's making up for the years that she's missed.
basically, and she's hooking up with anybody and everyone. So she then finds out they're gonna go to New Orleans, and she's super excited. So they make it to New Orleans. She takes off her top right in the middle of the airport
Yeah,
when she lands, and they're like, we're not there yet." So then they go to a bar to meet. Well, they didn't know at the time, but they met with John Constantine, who apparently they had to drink under the table with, and apparently Nora was the only one that could outdrink him.
yeah.
And she she then goes to the swamp in which John Constantine told him to go, but Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy didn't know where to go, and
They were still blackout.
she had to explain to them where to go, and then she gets captured by who we assume is Swamp Thing, who obviously turns out to be Swamp Thing. However, when Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn get there, they find out that Nora and Swamp Thing hooked up, and that Poison Ivy wanted Nora to basically ask Swamp Thing to figure out where Frank is. So they then go to a beignet. I almost said it wrong. Beignet, like food truck in the middle of the swamp, which is a whole another issue I have. Um, he then gets mad because he finds out that Nora only wanted this to be like a temporary thing, and he's like, "I thought you were my girlfriend," and she's like, "Girlfriend? It's too soon, and plus, like, I'm living my best life. Like, I don't want you to think, anything else." And that's when he then goes completely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and goes full on Swamp Thing of the Green and swallows them whole. And then I believe that's when Poison Ivy learns how to break the barriers of her, excuse me, being in the green.
Yeah,
Basically,
she had to connect. She had to connect with herself.
so the big thing
She had
with
to be
Poison,
true to herself.
so basically, apparently, Poison Ivy and Swamp Thing were friends, which I mean checks out. Let's be honest. And apparently she never opened up about herself, and every time he would open up about himself, she would just kind of be like, "Yeah, all right, whatever," and kind of like shrug it off. And
Yeah.
so she then opened up about Frank being her only friend, and that he was there with her before anybody else was, and she wants him back. And that's when Swamp Thing's like, "Good, you now have access to the green. Good luck."
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah,
Swamp Thing's basically a hippie guru in this show.
I
So
also want to mention too that apparently him and Nora continue to hook up.
yeah, we find that out later.
I just want to make that clear because I feel like I'll forget it later.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I
and
saw that in the the last episode or the
I
last
couldn't
couple
remember which
episodes.
one. Yeah, you know what? It was the last episode. It was the last episode. Yeah. I, oh, you know what? It was the last episode. Yeah. I, oh, you know what? It was the last episode. Yeah. I, oh, you know what? It was the last episode. Yeah. I, oh, you know what? It was the last episode. Yeah. I, oh, you know what? It was the last episode. It was the last episode because that was when they were in the movie theater. But anyway, I wouldn't have remembered it otherwise.
Yeah.
So then the next episode was the Joker episode.
Yep. That's when Joker decides he's going to run for mayor.
But before he does that, we get a glimpse of his life and
His
how
family
he,
life, because he wanted his kids to join a bilingual program,
well, he
and
wanted the bilingual program in
basically
because he wanted his kids to feel um, less.
his kids were getting picked on.
Yeah, because they are not. They're Hispanic, I believe.
Yep.
I forget
They
what
were
it said.
there. The kids were his stepkids were getting picked on,
Yes.
and he because the duolingual would help them fit in, and there's a rival soccer mom, I guess, that's has her nose in everything,
And
so
she wants to
she.
cancel it, and she says we have to take it up with City Hall, and that's when he goes in with all his goons.
Well, no, she didn't want to cancel it. The program only allowed a certain amount of people, and
Yes,
she got her kids in there and did not allow his kids to get in there.
correct.
So that caused a little rivalry. So that caused Joker to go become. He wants to become mayor because he wants to fix the program and so that way not just the elite can get in and everybody can get in. And basically, all of his programs is very socialist. Like
He calls himself a socialist.
he's like the reporter is like, are you like a socialist or something? And he's like, I'm not like a socialist. I
I
am a
am.
socialist. It's like, huh.
And Joker is kicking in the polls. He's robbing banks and then giving the money to everyone in Gotham. He's
Stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. True Robin Hood.
stealing from corporations.
Yep.
He wanted to make that very clear. And then Two Face steals his stepson, and that's when he goes to cancel himself for being mayor
Drop out of the
and
race.
drop out of the race. And
That's when Gordon was at the beginning of the episode. His daughter has been trying to convince him to not trust Two Face, to run a clean campaign and be honest with the
shocking.
people. And Two Face was like, "Listen, don't listen to her. Listen to me. I'm going to help you win." And because Gordon in this show is dumb as all hell,
Yes.
he keeps listening to Two Face. And it's so funny because like multiple times in this episode, when Two Face finally kidnaps the stepson, Gordon shows up and he's like, "Listen, I didn't want to do this. Why would you do this? Like, what kind of villain are you?" And he's like, "Dude, my name is literally Two Face. How
On both sides.
how are you like this dumb?" And like multiple times, he's like, "Dude, you crossed this line now. Like, I can't trust you." He's like, I don't know. Like this is just like this isn't even fun anymore. Like you're just making this too easy." Like
So then Gordon tries to save Joker and the boy, and what kills me is his stepson's like, Is he gonna save us? Are we saved now?" And he goes, "No, it's just Gordon. I wouldn't."
it's like, oh, you don't just like the roller coaster's going and they're like, "Oh my god, Batman, you're here." He's like, "Oh no, it's just Gordon." Son keeps screaming.
This is also the time where he calls him dad, which is also a big thing too.
He called him a couple times in this episode, and he, because he was so focused on the campaign, he didn't pick up on it.
Correct, correct. Um, but yeah, and then we find out that does he win yet?
No. So at the end of the episode, when Two Faces stopped and the kid is saved, Gordon officially drops out of the race, and basically they assume that Joker automatically wins, which he
Presumably.
does. And that is when Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy return from New Orleans, and they're like, "We were gone for less than a day. What happened?" Which that's a big shock to come home to.
Correct. And then the next episode was them kidnapping Bruce Wayne, but this was also a big King Shark episode.
Yep, we see a lot that happens with his family.
Yes, and how apparently they needed a new king. He gave it to his brother, and then his brother was going to sell it to Ocean Master, and that's when he and his brother got into a huge fight, and he killed his brother, and then became the king of Shark.
His 13th brother,
Yes. But to
which
be
we
fair,
found out before that he did kill his other brothers. We got a
yes, he
snippet
ate
of it.
them. Yes,
Yeah.
but he ate them because he was hypoglycemic. However, this was the only brother he killed that he didn't eat.
he did it on purpose.
Yes. Well, yes. He wanted to protect his home,
Yeah.
which I thought was. I actually liked this episode.
Yeah, it was a good episode. It
I
was an
like
episode that didn't involve the other two.
also also it was great. They made Ocean Master a joke, which I mean, let's be honest, he is.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just liked it overall. And I might sound racist, but it was really hard to tell the difference between King Shark and his brother um, during the fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's my only complaint.
So speaking as random question, speaking of Ocean Master, you never ended up seeing Aquaman 2, did you?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, obviously, whenever you get a chance, I recommend it. It is a fun time.
I heard it wasn't it wasn't a great movie, but it wasn't a bad movie. Like it was kind of like
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was still a fun time. Like
oh yeah.
the thing that I know we talked about it before, and it's a strange subject, but the thing that ruined the movie was the CGI. The rest of the movie was pretty good.
Makes sense.
So I mean, it if you got some time this week, because the only thing we're doing is watching the next season of Harley Quinn, I'd say give it a watch.
All right.
Um,
But um, yeah, so it was just they made Ocean Master a joke, which was fine, because he kind of is. But it was just nice seeing them fight in general, which was cool. Um, oh, we forgot to mention a huge plot point into this. Catwoman's black.
yeah, yeah. Why
No,
is that a big
it's
plot
just
point?
well, no, because it was a plot point for like the beginning of the season, because like she won an award, and
Yeah,
she
and the only
got
reason she got it was
got it
because she
because
was
of
black.
black. But let's be honest, like Black Manta's been representing for years and hasn't won a thing, and then all of a sudden,
And then Joker pops his head out and
it's
he's
like,
like,
wait
Black
a minute,
Manta's
he's
black?
black.
I wouldn't really call that a big plot point because it was mentioned for 2 seconds and then that was
No, I know,
it.
but I also think it has to do with the fact that because of who's been playing Catwoman in the more recent rendition of it, that's also why they had her the way she is. Um, but still, liked her,
I mean,
loved
I'm
her.
pretty sure this came out before the first Batman movie.
I think she was announced to be it though. I think
I
they
don't
already knew
remember.
Catwoman was. I
Well,
think it was. I think it was
when
before 2022.
when was season 1 of this show? Um,
Oh, 2019.
2019,
Yeah, but
and
I don't think we saw Catwoman though.
no, I think we did.
I think it was in passing. I don't think we got a good. It doesn't matter.
I mean,
Um,
even still, if we saw it in passing, we saw her ethnicity and whatnot. So I mean,
true, but they could have changed it without us knowing too.
in this show, they usually keep things pretty consistent.
I'll give you that. But anyway, so then the basically this was King Shark's episode, and then basically the gang kidnaps Bruce Wayne because they find out that Bruce Wayne is behind Frank's disappearance.
Yep.
Um, Poison Ivy is being physically exhausted from entering the green, and so that's when Harley Quinn takes care of it herself. She has a toe to toe against Batgirl, which then turns into the Mad Hatter, which she then kills, and then kidnaps Bruce Wayne and brings him back to the lair.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next episode, which I every episode we're going in somebody's mind at this point. I mean, every season I should say, not episode.
Yeah.
Every
At this
season
point, yeah.
every season we're going in somebody's mind. So I thought we weren't getting that this season, but they break it
Especially
up.
because Psycho was gone, but he came back.
Came back for this episode. He was kicked out of. Well, he was. I don't.
He removed himself.
Well, they removed him.
No, he left
Oh, true.
because
Um,
he was pissed at Harley for giving up Darkseid's power, and so he left the group, and then he decided he was going to take Darkseid's power, and that's when he betrayed their trust, and they fought, and so like he originally left the group
no, that's fair. But he now has a podcast, and
while in prison.
while in prison, and that's when the group breaks in to get him out, and he's like, "I'll only help under one condition: Harley Quinn guest stars on my pod."
I
And
want to also point out that Rain is talking on the podcast talking about the pasta maker
Yeah,
still.
it's Rain because he doesn't want everyone to know it's Bane, and because he's so good at coming up with fake names. You know what's funny at first too? I was trying to figure out why why Bane kept saying his name was Rain until I realized he wanted to. When you see on the thing, it pops up unknown,
Yeah, yep.
and so I realized, oh, he doesn't want people to know who it is. Um, but anyway, so he agrees only in the event that Harley Quinn is a guest on his podcast, because apparently Killer Croc's um, podcast is kicking his butt.
He needs the ratings.
Yeah, and apparently King Shark is big into that podcast too, um,
Hmm.
which is also funny. So everyone goes inside the mind of Bruce Wayne except for King Shark, and
Yeah.
he decides to watch the bodies. So they go inside, and it is the most screwed up thing ever because apparently we watched Bruce Wayne's parents die on a loop.
Bruce Wayne has managed to suppress every single memory except for the
Except
murder of his parents,
correct.
and his entire existence, as we know, is revolved around that.
Yeah,
And
and especially in this universe, it is.
uh-huh. And Harley Quinn is doing her best to try to help Bruce Wayne get over this trauma.
While this is going on, though, we also have Clayface trying to talk to Thomas Wayne
Yeah, because he
because
wants to. He has a movie role to play Wayne because he killed the actor who was supposed to be Thomas
Billy Bob
Wayne.
Thornton, and he is now Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh God, so
I know
so funny.
it's perfect for Clayface though. Um, we have all that going on, and she then saves one of the Bruce Waynes from seeing his parents die, and then everyone gets exiled except for Harley Quinn.
Because Bruce Wayne's consciousness still has a need for her.
Correct. And so she then tries to protect him from Joe Chill, who is trying to kill them. And she's able to get them to escape into a tunnel, which she then realizes Bruce Wayne is Batman, and they then have to run inside one of the memories. It was where one of the Robins is tied up to a rocket against Joker and Harley Quinn. And I just like how it's Harley Quinn versus Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh my gosh, like why is your accent so bad? Like come on, like sound like a normal person. You know, you're gonna regret this one day when you finally find the love of your life."
And I loved the little Robin one-liners that she was doing. It was, gee williker, Batman. It's like I just love the little nods to the originals. You know,
I
it
just like
was
too. She goes, my outfit was revealing, but man, this is ridiculous. Look at this.
yeah.
And we have
Oh
all that
God.
going on, and then Joe Chill shows up, and then Bruce Wayne is a kid again in a Batman suit, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Um, and I forget how she gets out. Now that I think about it, she gets him to realize.
So what happens is that she promises that she's going to help him get over the trauma. But
Yep.
basically, as the episode goes on, we find out that as Joe Chill removes his mask, she realizes that it's an older Bruce Wayne that has been forcing himself to relive that memory.
Correct,
And
and it's because he blames himself because if it wasn't for him, he would have never had his parents go to the film, which would have then killed.
there
Um,
was so many events that led up to the murder of his parents. Like he insisted his dad miss a meeting to go see the movie.
yep,
Then after the movie was over, instead of taking the limo, they walked back. And then there was a couple other things, but basically, like
he blames himself.
Bruce Wayne was essentially the cause of their death.
Yeah, so he considers
And
himself the killer, even though it was obviously not him that pulled the trigger.
what you cut out for a second. What was that?
No, I was gonna say like he blames himself, even though he wasn't the actual killer.
Yeah. Like he because he blames himself, he's forcing himself to relive the trauma for the rest of his life.
Correct.
Like you said, it wasn't his fault, but it like he wasn't the one who did it, but because of him asking his parents to make all these changes for him, it led to the incident.
Yep.
Um, And basically, Harley Quinn was allowed to escape because she promised that she would, one, never reveal his secret, and two, help him move forward finally.
Yeah. Um, which she does keep his secret.
Yep, that she does. And
And
as we find out later, that leads Bruce to actually trust her and call her a former villain.
we also get the next episode was a zombie apocalypse. So apparently Bruce Wayne uses Frank to resurrect his parents, and he does so, although not the way
Yep.
he thinks.
Yep, he resurrects his parents, not realizing that he resurrected literally the entire undead population.
Yep, absolutely.
And this
And
undead population allows is when they vomit, they allow the green to regrow,
spread.
and that includes people.
Yeah,
So,
and so Doctor Psycho gets turned into a tree first.
mhm.
That's when they begin to go on a murderous rampage to stop. Well, they try to stop the zombies, and Clayface can't help because he's too busy filming for the role, and King Shark shows up late, which is even funnier. But
Yeah,
we have
double trauma.
yeah, double trauma. But we also have Poison Ivy get the full power of the green and then decide to try to take over the entire world with it.
Yep, she finally realized that this was the way to reach her end goal of creating
Yep.
Eden.
Yes, and then during all this too, we also get a nice little cameo between King Shark and Bruce Wayne, which was actually the most wholesome.
Yeah, yeah. Like King Shark was literally helping Bruce Wayne through his trauma.
Yeah,
Like,
he's like, hey, your parents dying is a mess. I mean, I hated my father, and yet it still messed me up. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I hope
and
you.
what's it's like he's like, oh, you know, I understand. You just recently lost your family, and you know how long ago did you lose them? And he's like 30 years ago. He's like, dude, come on, get over it. Like, this is ridiculous. And this is also when King Shark tells Bruce Wayne that there was a horde of zombies because of this, and
Yeah,
Bruce Wayne obviously had no idea that he created a bunch of zombies.
correct.
So when he realized that, he was like, okay, yeah, no, they gotta go.
Yep. And then the only reason why it stopped happening was because Harley Quinn got barfed on, and she made sure to start turning into a tree, and that was the only way to get Poison Ivy to stop it.
Hmm.
And she does.
Reluctantly.
No, she does do it reluctantly, but she only did it to save Harley Quinn. She
Hmm.
didn't do it for any other reason.
Yep.
Um,
Which leads to more of them fighting.
yep. And then the final episode is the Lex Luthor offers Poison Ivy a deal to run the Legion of Doom. All she has to do is kill the mayor, who happens to be the Joker.
Hmm. And
And
because he doesn't like the evil headquarters lair tax that
yeah, the tax
he's
code.
going to implement.
And my personal favorite too is the fact of like we also have a great conversation piece between Ivy and Joker.
Yeah.
So they
Yep.
kidnap Joker, and this is supposed to be the premiere of the
The Thomas Wayne movie.
and so they're going to kill. They're basically going to kill the Joker at the end of the credits, and Harley Quinn forgets her bat, so she goes out to get it. And so basically, Joker's like, Harley Quinn has always been one to join, um, like join a heist even if she wasn't all for it. And Poison Ivy's like, no, this is what we both want. And he's like, really? When have you ever like? Basically, they go back and forth about this, and then he finally goes, I guess I have to bring out the big guns now. He goes, when have you ever known Harley Quinn to forget her bat? And then she goes, oh.
It was funny because there was like a couple of things. Like one of them, she's never made a mistake with tying a knot. Like I was able to just get out of this knot, no problem. Then it was like a couple other things, and then like the big one was like, when has she ever forgotten her
Well,
bat?
because Poison Ivy is basically um, like not making excuses, but like stating all these things, and he's finally like, "Oh, I guess I got to bring out the big guns." When have you
Hmm.
ever known Harley Quinn to forget her bat? And then she's
Hmm.
like, "Oh,
And what's funny is like when Harley comes back, she was all for killing the Joker, and Poison Ivy was actually like protecting Joker to prevent her from killing him.
because she wanted to make sure that it was what she wanted, and not just because that's what Poison Ivy wanted."
Uh huh.
So in the end, they don't kill the Joker, but they do arrest. Joker does arrest Bruce Wayne.
Yep, because he's a corrupt
Tax
billionaire.
evasion. He's also doing a lot of tax evasion, supposedly.
Yep.
And that's when he offers Gotham to Nightwing, Batman, Nightwing, Robin, Batgirl, and now the new hero, Harley Quinn.
Yep. Harley Quinn.
Um,
Because it isn't. Yes, it is in this episode where they're having a talk to talk because Bruce Wayne goes to the premiere of the Thomas Wayne movie to try to overcome his drama, and that's when Bruce Wayne calls Harley Quinn a hero, and she's like, "How dare you say that?" And she's like, "Listen, everything that you have done is hero worthy. Like you are changed. Deal with it. You're a hero."
and I think then her and Ivy have a heart to heart where they realize like Ivy wants to still be with her regardless, but just so she knows too, like she's gonna be with her no matter what. So if she wants to be a hero of some kind, she'll still be with her. But
Hmm.
that means they're gonna have different interests, which is something Harley Quinn I don't think fully understands when it comes to a relationship. She feels like they have to do everything together.
And
Um,
yeah,
and that's the end of the season. Well, it ends with Harley Quinn joining the Bat family.
yeah, and they all glide. They all glide away with
Well,
their
grappling
bat
hooks, but
bat
she goes and
bat
takes the stairs.
grapple. Yeah, and
Yeah,
she
she
takes the
takes the
stairs.
stairs.
So
Yeah,
you
she's
couldn't
crazy.
wait for me. That was
And that was the end. So we're gonna find out what happens in season 4 next week.
yep. And obviously there was the holiday special which you didn't watch, but
Nope, and I'm glad I
uh,
didn't.
yep.
So let's move on to my character spotlight because we talked about this character a little bit, specifically in the What If trailer. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Is it the Native American?
Nope. It is actually Aurora Monroe. And I think you know her more appropriately as Storm. So I thought that that version of Storm was from when the universe folds in on itself. There
Mm-hmm.
is apparently another universe that has a goddess of thunder Storm and is from Earth 904. So let me paint you a picture of 904 first before talking about Storm in 904. So basically, the universe of Earth 904 is legitimately um, the X-Men visiting Asgard. Several of their members of the X-Men and the New Mutants decided to stay on Asgard. Um, Many of those staying found new loves, like Wolfsbane found love in. I'm going to be pronouncing these names wrong horribly.
Oh God.
Wolfsbane is found love with Hirama, Prince of the Asgardian Wolves. Rogue fell in love with Fandral, the Dashing of the Warriors 3. Cypher became a scholar, translating and reading scribes long dead in Asgard, while Cannonball married Kingdra, the daughter of the Dwarf King. Nightcrawler and Sunspot became warriors, while Mirage became one of the Valkyrie. Magic became the sorceress supreme of Asgard, and Storm became the new goddess of thunder since Thor was trapped in the form of a Midgard frog. And during this, so basically, Thor was basically turned into a frog, and because of that, they needed a new thunder god, and who else could do it? None other than Storm. So in this, Storm was actually powerless at this point. Somehow she lost her powers. It was unclear exactly how um, she was like lost her powers, but she was given the mystical hammer called Stormbringer by Loki. This gave her, according to Danielle Moonstar, the power of a goddess once again. She then became the sovereign of Asgard, and she is gone by different aliases as well, which was Goddess of Thunder, Storm, and Stormborn, which is weird.
Hmm.
Um,
I like Stormborn. I like that name actually.
I do too. I like it better than the other ones, but I'm fine with it. So, Carnelia and Hela conspired to steal Storm's soul with the sword of Surtur, but were defeated. The sword was destroyed during the battle, and Loki was unable to draw mystical energy from it, releasing Thor. With Odin dead, Thor renounced his claim to the throne and returned to Earth, where Storm became the queen of Asgard. So she became literally the queen of Asgard in this universe. And also, when the multiverse was destroyed and recreated in the form of the battle world, so was Aurora. aka this version of Storm, and after some time living in the battle world, she decided to join the Thor Corps, which was a group comprised of multiple men and women across the battle world and God Emperor Doom's enforcers of justice. She was on the bad side.
Eh.
And that, my friends, is the character of Storm from Earth 904. So this was actually
Oh,
created in her first appearance was in What If number 12, February of 1990. And her powers are pretty much the same as it's always been. The difference being that she wields Stormbreaker.
interesting. So, so I lost you for 1 second. You said she was introduced in 19 what?
90.
Oh,
So this
okay. So,
particular this particular version of her was created in 1990, um, and apparently in the battle world against um, Emperor Doom. That's when she actually was on his side.
yeah, I know. I did hear that.
So I'm curious to see. So there have been a couple of different versions of Storm getting Thor's powers. So I'm
mhm.
curious at what version we're going to get in What If.
Yeah,
So I had told you about the one where it was the folding of half of the universe. However, we now wanted to make this clear because I found this while trying to look for the other one. I found this one and thought this one was actually going to be more potentially, excuse me, of what we're going to be seeing.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like it is like this. They could be resurrecting this from the comics. I mean, they could be creating an entirely new storyline because MCU
Absolutely.
tends to do that. So, I mean,
But I also think
um,
too, like I think they always pay homage to a real story and they
yeah,
make it their own. So like same thing with Earth 1602. Like
mhm,
they did the same thing, but they made it their own thing. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
They
Um,
they it was like you told me it was a story in the comics, but they the MCU took the story from the comics and put their own characters into it.
just like
So
Marvel Zombies, like they did the same thing where
yeah,
it was its own story, but they made it their own. They made it
yep. I
MCU.
mean, that's what makes it good is they can change the story around without without hurting it, or just
Absolutely,
rehashing the same thing.
100%.
Um,
So I'm very
the
excited to
only
see.
question I have, the only question I have is, I know you were saying that Loki was trying to like help her out. So like Loki was more on the hero side than his villainish side. So like in
Well,
in
he might
this
have also been the one that turned. Um,
Thor into the frog.
yeah. So basically, Loki is pretty much the same, except for he transports the X-Men and the New Mutants to Asgard. Um, so like that's the big difference. So he's kind
Okay.
of like still kind of like that weird where it's like he's definitely not a good guy, but he's not 100% a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Say,
weird,
say
but it,
typical thing. He's looking out for his own skin.
yeah, I think it's
Okay.
because in the '90s, I think he was much more. I think he was. I don't want to say he was less of a villain, but I think they were showing more sides of him not being like the.
Big bad.
Yeah, I guess the best way to phrase it.
Okay.
But anyway, he also gets captured, and so he doesn't really get much of. Um, he doesn't get much of anything during this story. He basically brings the X-Men and the New Mutants there. Then Thor is released from his prison. He then captures Loki and brings him to those who sit in the shadow, who apparently punishes Loki for his crimes, um, which um, which apparently places him in the far future to rule Asgard as it falls into a black hole. That's his punishment.
Oh, that's depressing.
So basically, it's like, oh, you want to be ruler? Oh, we'll let you be ruler. We'll bring you to the end of time, where a black hole destroys your area to rule. So good luck. Bye. And that was pretty much his punishment.
Hmm,
So he
hmm.
apparently goes mad because of that, which shocking to me.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, totally not expected.
no, not at all. But yeah, I wanted to talk about this character just because we're going to be seeing this potentially this character in What If season 3. Um, and I'm very curious to see. I wanted to hear your thoughts just because this was this was me looking for a different character like a different version of Storm, and I stumbled upon this one, and I was like, okay,
Works.
no, 100% does. So we'll see what happens. But for now, next week we're going to be talking about um, Harley Quinn season 4, any trailers that come out, and then um,
Maybe just talk a little bit. It's like we did in this episode. Just talk about
yeah,
random things.
agreed, agreed. I
Um,
think we'll do the same thing.
like the Craven conversation at the beginning was totally unprepared.
No, absolutely. But I think those are going to be like the main things we talk about, and then we'll see where we go from there. But for now,
um,
this. Oh, sorry. What do you have to say?
no, actually, it clicked in my head because I wanted to talk about it before, but I know I'm going to forget about it if I don't mention it right now. We can talk more in detail later, but I had heard a rumor that they're in Avengers Doomsday. They're going to be introducing a version of the Hulk. What's the version? The one that he's older.
Monstro.
Yes, yes. They're gonna supposedly Hulk is going to turn into Monstro or however you say his name.
A version of him.
Yeah. Uh,
And
like
what
I
do you
said, I
know?
just wanted to mention it because I've been wanting to say it, talk to
There's
you
all.
about it for a while.
Yeah, but do you know the rumor of who's supposed to be playing him?
The post that I saw was that they're not sure if it's going to be Mark Ruffalo or a different actor.
The rumor originally when they announced that they were going to have Monstro exist, because they've talked about Monstro for a while.
Mm.
It's basically the Hulk's version of Mephisto at this point, where he's been mentioned a lot, but nothing's really happened. Although I'll say this, I think Monstro hasn't been mentioned nearly as long as Mephisto has, but it's
At
actually
least with the Hulk is like at least they're continuing his story. Like as
yes.
he's in every project legitimately, and his character is changing. So to get to the Monstro, it is a possibility.
No, absolutely, but it would be a different version of him, and the idea would be it would be either Edward Norton or the guy who played the Incredible Hulk in the 2002.
Really? Huh.
The idea would be because it's that way, it's a different version from the main timeline.
Hmm. Oh, hey, it would work.
Because it would make sense to have, you know what I mean, like the deviation.
Yeah,
Because
but
when we have evil versions of people, we don't have them play themselves, which is funny. Except for Robert Downey Jr. apparently.
he's not playing himself.
Oh, that's true. He's not. He's playing Doom. But anyway, um, yeah. So like I said, if you made it this far, so next week we're going to be talking about season 4 of Harley Quinn, any trailers that come up, and probably talking about just random stuff in general. We'll be doing a character spotlight from Mike. Other than that, this is going to be. Oh, duh. If you made it this far into the video, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Other than that, this is going to be Scott and Mike signing out of the Black Eel Podcast. Have a wonderful night. Bye bye. And remember, we're back on Sundays, which means we'll be uploading on Mondays. Bye bye.